Assalamu alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
In the name of Allah, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon his last and final messenger. Family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes, welcome back to the Feachaz. I greet you all in peace and love and no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. So y'all hearing me okay? I hope the sound is good. I didn't do no sound check. I was in a bit of a rush. I got to head out to the clinic today. But anyways, this particular topic is so important for black folk to understand because they've been given a runaround since the better part of 4 centuries of why people don't love them. Okay, they've been told all kind of craziness and nonsense, and ironically, or maybe not so ironically, Allah, he already revealed in the Quran directly why these folks don't have no love for us, and it ain't got nothing to do with the reasons that they're telling us that they don't love us. When you find people wagging their fingers in your faces talking about, you know, they don't have no love for black culture, or, you know, the criminality and laziness and all these kind of gaslighting tactics that these folks use, none of that is actually the case. Not a single one of those points. But rather, they don't like you because you're black. That's the only reason why they don't like you. They can't come out and tell you that they don't like you simply because they're black. And the only ones who have the gonads to actually say it just like that just happens to be South Asians, right? So much so that they make an entire religion out of that, and they have no issues telling their own people, we don't like you because you're black. You're going to be untouchables. You're going to be the lowest class because you are black, because you were born black. And that's it. You're going to pick up our garbage and you know, clean up our crap, and you're going to eat rats because you were born black. You were born to serve us. So this whole white supremacy religion and ideology is something that has been developed over many, many centuries. And now we are seeing a new turning point with the white supremacist ideology. Now, 1 second. We're seeing a new turning point with white supremacist ideology. Okay? And now they have again moved the goalpost, changed the limbo pole, you know, broken the rung on the ladder, and now they want to tell y'all, we don't like you, black folk, because all you do is play the victim card. That's all you do. You're just victims. Victim. That's what they're telling y'all, right? So, there is some relevancy behind Allah revealing the story of Adam to human beings. Why would God tell this story about Adam to human beings? Why would he? What, But not just the story of Adam. Adam, this thing that happened between Adam and Iblis. What is the moral of this story, so to speak? For those of y'all who have gotten deep into the story, there are many different paths to the story, but what seems to be the more authentic approach is that Allah, He created the jinn or the spirits before He created Adam. And the jinn, they were the, you can say, what you see human beings are today. They were that on earth. Okay? They were ruling the earth. They were having wars and all this kind of stuff, building their own tribes and nations and whatnot, having their own religions. That's what they were doing. The spirits, they were doing this on earth. And then at some point, Allah, He raised the rank of this one jinn called Iblis. Okay? He raised the ranks of this one jinn called Iblis. And Iblis was somebody who was known for his worship of Allah. So Iblis now, what he does is he goes and he essentially goes to war to eradicate many of the wicked shayateen and jinn, right? His own people, to make sure that the good jinn are left. Okay? This is how the stories are essentially told, right? If you look at some of the, now how authentic that part is, I'm not quite sure, but I'm just saying what they're saying. Okay? All right? But what we know for sure is that Iblis and the jinn, they were definitely here on earth long before human beings. Okay? Long before human beings. Okay? So now Allah, He announces, after the jinn have now been called and they have been eradicated, not completely, but just they've been pretty much purged. Okay. Now Allah, He announces that He's going to put a Khalifa on the earth. He's going to put a Khalifa on the earth, right? A successor on the earth. You're probably wondering, well, Bilal, why are you telling this story? We all know the story. I'm getting to it. Just relax. Okay? Just relax. So Allah, He says He's going to put a Khalifa on the earth. He announces it to the angels. Word gets back to Iblis and the jinn that Allah is going to put the Khalifa on the earth. And mind you, there's no human being at this time. There's no new creation at this time. All right. So Iblis, because he is he's somebody who has this zeal to be this Khalifa, he steps up to his work. He does even more work. Now, I want you to imagine now, Iblis thinks he's going to get a promotion. He has no clue that Allah is going to make a new creation. He don't know about this, right? But he is working hard for his promotion. You get me? He is working hard for his promotion. And, he's get this reputation now for being one of the righteous servants of Allah. So much so that Allah keeps raising him in rank. He keeps telling Iblis to draw nearer, to come to the next level of Jannah, to the next level of Jannah, to the next level of Jannah, right? Until finally, Iblis reaches the ranks of the angels. Okay? Until finally Iblis himself reaches the ranks of the angels. Now I want you to, because when you're hearing the story, right? We might hear the story and we might hear the words, but we don't actually put it into, like, try to imagine the scenario. If you, any human being, when they want to advance in a company, right? Are they just going to show up? Are they just going to show up? No, they're not just going to show up. They're going to you know, work very hard. So the brother Baji, he asked, "How do we know this?" This is from the Israeliyat. This is from the Israeliyat, or the people of the book, right? So some parts are, and some parts are directly from the Quran, right? We know that Iblis was in the ranks of the angels because Allah said so in the Quran when He ordered, and we ordered the angels to bow down to Adam, and all of them bowed down except Iblis. Okay, except Iblis. Right? So Iblis, he was a jinn, but he was among the angels at this time. But we're getting to that, so just relax, okay? Just relax. We're getting to that. Anyways, Iblis, he works until he reaches the ranks of the angels. Right? Until he reaches the ranks of the angels. Right? And like anybody who is trying to raise themselves in rank, it requires work and time and effort. And jinn, they live much longer, much longer than human beings. So we're reading the Quran, and Allah says He announces that, you know, He's going to put a Khalifa on the earth, right? And then we see after that He creates Adam, and then He orders uh, Adam. What did He order Adam to do? He ordered Adam to do what? What did Allah order Adam to do after He created him? Who knows? Who knows the answer? After Allah created Adam, what did Allah order Adam to do? Somebody put it in the chat. Don't worry, we're getting to the reasons why this is related to black people. We're getting to that. Right? While I'm waiting for your answer in the chat, Allah, He creates Adam. Okay? Allah, He creates Adam. And when Allah creates a thing, Allah, He can say be and it is, which is Allah's typical way of creating a thing. But what was the difference between the creation of Adam and the other creation? What was the difference? Somebody tell me in the chat. Somebody say, did Allah say be and then Adam was? Just like that? Is this how Allah created Adam? Because Allah, He says in the Quran, when Allah wants to create a thing, He says kun fayakun, right? He says be and it is. That's all He needs to do. He doesn't need to do anything else. Yes, we know that Allah, He created Adam from clay, right? That's how what Allah created him from. But how did Allah create Adam? Did He just say kun fayakun? Did He say be and it and then he became? Yes, we know He created Adam from black mud. We understand that. But I want to know how. According to the Quran. Thank you, Brother Baji. With His two hands. He could have said kun fayakun, correct? He could have done that. Allah could have done that. Allah could have said be, and then Adam would have just been created, khalas, you know? But why would Allah create Adam with his own two hands? Why? Is it for himself? Or is it to show the creation while he's creating Adam, the status of this new creation? It's to show the status of this new creation. Allah took his time with creating Adam because he created him with his own two hands. So Allah took his time with the creation of Adam. And Iblis, after thinking for how many eons, however a time Allah willed, after Allah announced that he was going to make this creation, no, that he was going to put a Khalifa in the earth. He's going to put a Khalifa in the earth. Iblis thinks it's going to be him. He did the work. He did the everything. He followed orders. He did everything he was supposed to do. Right? And then finally, Allah, he gathers different types of clay from around the earth until it made this black mud. Until it made this black mud. And Iblis is seeing this. Okay? And now he's like, what's this? Iblis is like, what's this thing? He sees this black mud. Then Allah, he fashions it with his own two hands. Okay? He fashions it. Until there is nothing left but the shell. So Iblis, he's looking at this creation forever, however Allah willed. Okay? Because he's still thinking, well, okay, this new thing, it's a new thing, but it's just mud anyway. So he tests it out. He goes inside this thing. He walks around it, through it, up, down, whatever. Inspects it very well. Iblis tells himself, this thing is weak. And then he just leaves it. All right, mind you, Allah's announcement of the Khilafah was made first, before the creation of Adam. How do we know this? How do we know this? Because Allah says in the Quran, what was the question that the angels asked Allah? The angels themselves asked Allah, will you put in the earth that which was shed blood and cause destruction, correct? What were the angels referring to? They were referring to that which came before Adam, which was the jinn, which is what we talked about already. So Allah told the angels, I know that which you do not know. You get me? So this is proof that Allah, he announced first he's going to put a Khalifa. Iblis thinks it's going to be him. Right? Nobody knows what this Khalifa is going to be. Iblis puts in the work. He gets to the level of the angels now. And now Allah, he starts creating this thing. And the angels are seeing it. And Iblis is seeing it. He gathers all the different types of dirt until it makes a sounding black mud. Then he shapes it. Allah shapes it. And he leaves it there for however Allah wills. Leaves it there. Iblis is checking out. Says this thing is weak, whatever. Then finally, after how much time Allah willed, he breathed into Adam his ruh, his spirit. Okay? So Adam, this creation is showing the status of Adam. the way that Allah dealt with creating Adam. So now Adam is doing what? He just created. He's just created. Allah, who is teaching Adam the names of everything? Is it the angels? Who is teaching Adam the names of everything? Is it the angels? You know, Allah says in the Quran, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا, right? And we taught Adam al-asma'a kullaha. We taught him. Allah is teaching Adam the names of everything. The angels don't know what's going on. They don't know what's happening. But it was this mastery of knowledge that made Adam a rank so high that even Allah had to order the angels to bow down to Adam. Now I want you to think about this. Iblis now, he's working hard. He saw the creation of Adam taking place. He saw what Allah was creating Adam with. And he's looking at that, and he's thinking about who Allah is going to put on a Khalifa on the earth. He's thinking about all this work he already did. And all of a sudden, Adam comes, he learns the names of things. He got this knowledge that nobody and none of the creation had before Adam. And the only thing that Iblis can think about in his mind is that I don't care what this black thing, learn. I'm better than him. I'm just better than him. I don't care what he learned and what he can do. Look at this thing. And when Allah asked Iblis, why you didn't bow down to Adam? What prevented you? What did Iblis say? He said, you created me from fire, and you created him from mud. You expect me to bow down to that thing? Just think about the mindset now. Because black folk, we can't hate people just simply because they exist. I never seen that, ever. I never seen a black person just looking at somebody and hating them simply because they're there. But it goes deeper. It goes deeper. It's not just that Iblis was there, because this is kind of how, Adam was there. Because when we hear this story, we hear it in a very simplistic manner, but we're not really reflecting on this story. You get me? We're not really reflecting on it. It's not just that It's not just that Adam now was simply created from mud. It is because Iblis thought he was superior to this thing made from mud. Not just because he's made from fire, and not just that, but he witnessed what he can do, and he knows the limitations of this thing that was created from mud. He knows. You get me? And not only that, his hatred got him so riled up of this black thing. His hatred got him so riled up that he was willing to accept his being kicked out of the garden and being promised hell to prove the point to Allah and the angels that yes, I am actually better than that black thing. He's trying to prove a point now. He's like, give me respite. He's telling Allah, give me respite. And I will come from before them and from behind them, to the left of them and right of them. And you will find most of them ungrateful. Because he wants to show, he's trying to prove something now. He's like, I am better than him. Look at all the work I did for you, Allah. Like he's expecting Allah to have gratitude for him now. You get me? It's like this type of arrogance. Yeah, it's this type of arrogance that they have. He's like, look at all I did for you. And you're going to give my shine to this newcomer? I'm going to show you that I'm better than him. Now we're getting into the meat of it. Do we not have people today that have been trying to show the world that they are better than black people? And not just trying to show it, but trying to prove it with science, with statistics, with projecting certain cultural outcomes. Don't we have people like that today? Now, these same people, they do have the ability to leave us alone, correct? Nothing is preventing them from leaving us alone. Do they leave us alone? Do they leave us alone? If it's true that you were superior, if it's true, right? If you believe that you were superior, then you really don't have to do anything to show it. Because your actions and our inaction or lack of, or even our actions, will prove to the world that you are in fact superior and we are inferior, correct? That it will just naturally show. You don't have to do anything. It's like trying to show your superiority over a baboon or something. Are there human beings out there trying to show that they are superior to a baboon or to a house cat? No, this would be a mute exercise. It would be like ridiculous. You don't have to show anybody. It's just is. But just like Iblis, he looks at Adam. Adam didn't do anything to Iblis. Did Adam do anything to Iblis at all? Did Adam do a single thing to Iblis? Did he, kill his kids? Steal his money? He literally did nothing to Iblis. All he did was follow Allah's orders. And Iblis would not have had this hatred for Adam unless Allah raised him to that rank. Because then he would have nothing to prove. If Allah had said, okay, Iblis, you're going to be the vicegerent of the earth, he wouldn't worry about no Adam. But Iblis got something to prove. Iblis got something to prove. He wants to show everybody that he's better. And in order to do that, he has to be in front and behind and to the left and to the right. And the one thing that Iblis is not is clearly he's not a quitter. He's very obviously not a quitter. He does not give up. And the fact that he asked Allah to give him respite until the day of judgment, meaning to let him live all the way to the day of judgment, only to show that yes, I am the superior and these are the inferior, is proof that he doesn't give up. And Allahu Alam if he actually sleeps, because we know that his work is non-stop. And from his not giving up attitude, he tries to instill this hopelessness and this giving up attitude within the minds of those who are oppressed, within the minds of black folk, making them think that there is no hope, there is no way out. But the same thing that raised Adam, alayhi salam, is the very same thing that raised every prophet after him. It's the same thing that raised the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. It's the same thing that raised those ignorant Arabs, so much so that even they call themselves, in the times of ignorance. They have that acronym for themselves. We have our own time of ignorance. Us, the descendants of slaves out here in the West. We have our own time of ignorance. There are no people on earth more similar to the Arab ignorance than the black descendants of slaves. The same thing that raised Adam's status, same thing that raised the status of the Prophet Muhammad and those Sahaba, is the very same thing that will raise your status. It's the same. It's the very same. And now what you are seeing is the speech of the descendants of Iblis mimicking the speech of Pharaoh in them with regards to you. See, these stories in the Quran, they're there for a reason. If you reflect on these stories, they don't hate you because of hip-hop music. Okay? That's not why they hate you. What's the proof? when slavery ended, allegedly ended, there was a time called Reconstruction. And during this Reconstruction time, there were more black people in the political arena than any other time in U.S. history. Any other time. But in a time span of 12 years, black people went from almost 0% literacy to almost 70% literacy in a time span of 12 years. This is nothing short of a miracle, okay? If we were truly as inferior as they say, it would have been easy for them to let us fail all about all and loosen, right? But that wasn't happening. What was happening during this Reconstruction period is that we were winning. We were winning. And because we were winning, that is when the KKK actually started and violently suppressed black elections in the late 1800s, violently, and forcibly removed black politicians from office and put their own people, just to turn around and tell you that you're inferior. If we're inferior, then why are you doing this for? This is evidence that we are not inferior. The fact that hip-hop music was infiltrated is evidence that you are not inferior. The fact that they had to do the war on drugs is evidence that you are not inferior. All of this is evidence that you're not inferior. If you were inferior, you don't have to do that stuff. Do you have to make a war on drugs with stray dogs? No, you don't. You don't bother with that with stray dogs. But the people that you do not want to rise, you do that to. To turn around and tell them that we don't like you because of your drug problems. Can you imagine? The people who own the planes and they own the ports and they own even the the logistic avenues. These are the ones who make the weapons. They make the weapons, put them in black neighborhoods, and turn around and say, we don't like you because of your crime rates. You create the conditions for the crime rates. You did. If you don't like us for the crime rates, why are you creating these conditions? You get it? Makes sense? Don't let them come to you with that old-time nonsense. They don't like you for the same reasons that Iblis don't like Adam. It's because you exist. They don't want the world to see what you can actually do. They don't want you to rise up, and they will be right there in your way every single time when you do. If we were inferior, why was there a Tulsa, Oklahoma? Why is there a Central Park? Why? Because we're inferior? Why are there gullahs in Florida and things? Because we're inferior? Because we're inferior? And then you have Muslims. We showed you this already. Muslims, and they're happy, they're proud, these Ash'ari, these Maturidi. They're so happy that they're Ash'ari and Maturidi scholars, and they're saying it just like that. That our Ash'ari and our Maturidi scholars say that black folks are inferior because of A, B, C, and D. And they're posting it. They're not even shy. And then when we bring it to the people, they're calling us dogmatic. We didn't say nothing about your Akita. That's not us saying it. You can believe what you want. What do you have to say about this stuff? Look at what we presented. Look at what we presented. What do you have to say about that? Why are you blaming us for quoting these folks? At any rate, when we were Christian, those of you who were Christian, what color is Adam and Eve? What color is Adam and Eve in Christianity? Come on, people. Adam and Eve is what? Who used to be Christian? When we were Christian, in Christianity, when they showed us those pictures and stuff, Adam and Eve was what color? Thank you. According to white Christians, not just according to white Christians, even Christians. Go to Africa today. Those same African Christians, blacker than my shirt, are worshiping white Jesus and have pictures of white Adam and Eve. Can you imagine? But nothing to see here. No type of indoctrination going on here. Ain't nothing to see here. Adam. The word Adam itself is a very, very old word. It even predates Semitic languages. It's an old word. Does anybody know what the meaning of Adam is? What does it mean? Does anybody know what the meaning of Adam is? This website is called Al-Ajam wal-Arab 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 wal-Ajam wal-Arab wal-Ajam wal-Arab. Okay, sorry, Al-Ajam wal-Arab, meaning the what you call it? What's the Ajam? Ajam is like the non-Arab, wal-Arab, and the non-Arab, the non-Arab and the Arab. Okay. It goes into the etymology of the word Adam. And it's both in Arabic and English, both. They have the English side, they have an Arabic side. Ibn Mansur al-Thalabi said in his book, Al-Fiqatul Lugha, wasar, meaning Al-Fiqatul Lugha is what? Like the fiqh of what? The understanding of language. Okay? And he says that the color of Adam is blackness. Is blackness in humans. When referring to camels, it means whiteness. Fiqatul Lugha also. He's talking about the Arabic language. If its blackness is increased in asmar, then it is Adam. As if its blackness is increased in asmar, meaning this type of dark red or this type of dark brownish type color, right? Then the meaning is Adam. Oh, there's so much more. There is all these great scholars and language scholars. You'll be shocked. But the thing is, the Arabs, they know this because they know their language. They already know this. They understand this. They know that Adam means black. Right? But there's more. There's more. Listen, look at this. Abu Walid Sulaiman ibn Khalif al-Baji al-Andalusi, mind you. Where's Andalus? Spain. In his book, Muntaki Shadar al-Maut, okay, he said the color Adam is above Asmar, meaning darker, towering to the color of what? Jet black. It is above Asmar, it's darker than Asmar, and is leading towards jet black. Adam. Abu Hilal al-Askari said in his book, what's it? Takhlus fi ma'rifat al-asma'i wa ashya, okay? What you call it? Understanding the names of things, okay? He says, and al-udma is the root word of Adam, okay? Udma is the root word of Adam. And humans is a branch of blackness. And Adam, colored man, and an udma, colored woman. Ibn Qutayba said in his book Al-Ma'arif on page 27, Abu Muhammad said, the green is the black meaning of al-udma. In other words, udma and jet black are the same thing. And on and on and on and on and on and on and on. There's so much. The website is called al-ajamwalarab.com. Did you guys see that? Let me show you. Now, see, I messed up, man. Let me just show you the screen. 1 second, y'all. Y'all didn't even see. I'm talking to myself, man. Sorry, guys. Let me just show y'all. I started reading and reading and reading. I didn't even show you the website. 1 second. So I'll just put it back. I'll put it back here. Right, this is the website. The website is called al-ajamwalarab.com. So many scholars. So many. In Arabic and in English. Ibn Athir. I mean, these are big scholars. Big scholars. Al-Jazari said in his book Al-Jami al-Rasul fi al-Hadith al-Rasul, right? He said, and the black means the Arabs. Y'all are tripping, man. Because the predominant colors among them is udma. What's the predominant color amongst the Arabs? Al-udma. And udma is a color that is near to the color of jet black. Don't make me have to. This is not me saying this. This is not me saying this. And here's the killer. Because I said it, because I didn't say it, because I quoted it rather, you're going to find your bones and biscuits arguing with me instead of arguing with these ulama. And they're going to say all kinds of nonsense. Well, why is this a thing? Why do you even care? You know why they say that? Do you know why they say that, color doesn't matter and all kind of stuff? It's not because they believe color doesn't matter. It's because they don't want y'all to have any type of place or legitimacy in Islam. They just want you to be the Bilals, not the Bilal, the Sahaba, but the Bilal, the slave. You see how that works? They want y'all to be like that. They want you to be like a novelty in Islam. To show that, yeah, we let the black folks in Islam too. When Adam was created, there was only black. There wasn't anything else. Adam didn't know anything else. It was just black. And because it was just black, there was no such thing as colorism or racism or anything like that. So it is not possible for black folk to invent these ideologies. And this is why black people, we just look at people like regular, we're looking at them like regular because we are thinking that they are looking at us the same way that we see them. And that is not the case at all. And the only thing that cures this disease is actual implementation of Islam. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, there is nobody even close in history before the Prophet ﷺ who espoused the ideas of anti-racism. Nobody came close to him. As a matter of fact, nobody came close to the ideas of even human brotherhood. Nobody was saying in a very clear manner that there is no superiority of the white over the black or the Arab over the non-Arab, but rather superiority is that of taqwa. Nobody said anything even close to that before the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and I challenge anybody to bring a single statement from somebody before the Prophet ﷺ saying something like this. And the Prophet ﷺ, he was white. He was white. He was a white Arab. But if you say that today, even the Prophet ﷺ, when he's describing some of the prophets that he saw, he described Musa alayhi salam black. Black man. Adam, black. When you start saying this stuff, and you don't think that Bilal is the only black Sahaba, Bilal isn't the only black Sahaba. There are so many black Sahaba. Look where the Arab Peninsula is. Those Arabs were nothing. They were like the scum of the, like, you know what I mean? Nobody wanted to, the Arabs before the Prophet ﷺ came, that, you know what the time of Jahiliyyah was? Anybody can come and just take advantage of the Arabs. And everybody was doing that. The Arabs were ruled by Ethiopians for a long time. What do you think that Surat al-Fil is about? Surat al-Fil. The Yemeni, whatever, king from Ethiopia, who came with his elephants to try to destroy the Kaaba. That event that happened, that event was a spearheading of the collapse of the Ethiopian reign over the Arabs at that time. And the very same Ethiopians, when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ wanted to seek safety for the believers, he sent his Sahaba to black Ethiopians. Were they slaves too? Was Najashi a slave? Were the people protecting the Sahaba slaves? It wasn't the opposite. It wasn't the black folks seeking protection from the Arabs. It was the Arabs seeking protection from black folk. And the black folk accepted Islam. The black folks accepted Islam. These folks want you to think that you have no place in this religion simply because you are not their definition of Arab or white or whatnot. You get me? There are so many quotes. The Arabs know very well what Adam comes from. Look at this. Imam Suyuti. Who doesn't know Imam Suyuti? Imam Suyuti in Al-Jawahir Al-Uqad, pardon me, he says, and if yellow decreases, it leads towards jet black, then it is called Adam. And on and on and on and on and on and on. Then this is just from the linguistic standpoint. This is from the linguistic standpoint. If Adam's color was truly black, then all that racism makes a bit too much sense, if you ask me. Ironically, yes. Ironically, yes. And that's why we are doing this lecture today. All this racism would actually make more sense if Adam was black. Because those folks, like we said in the beginning, when they see you, it's like Lucifer looking at Adam. It's just the same thing. It's like Lucifer looking at Adam. That's how they see you. Like no different. And then they want to turn around and talk about they're the righteous. Like this new rise in alt-right rhetoric from Muslims, which is being pushed by Muslims. Mind you, these folks, they were always anti-black to begin with. Don't forget that. The same folks that are coddling and fraternizing with white supremacists today, they always had these anti-black tendencies, but they had to hide it. They couldn't just come out and say we don't like the niggas. They can't just say that. They had to hide their anti-black stuff. Now, like all things white supremacists, these white supremacists, okay, have emboldened the anti-black sentiments of your so-called Muslim brothers. Because they were always like that. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said that they would be like that. He wasn't talking about the black folks having this sentiment. He said that my people, the Arabs, will have this jahiliyyah in them until Yom Qiyamah. He said that about his own people. The Prophet ﷺ, these same Arabs that want to kick you out of Tunisia because you're black, these same Arabs that want to enslave you in Libya because you're black, these same Arabs that want to exploit your women all in the Gulf because they are black, right? The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, did he fight the black Africans, or did he fight his own people, the Arabs? Whose blood was he spilling? Whose blood was he spilling? Who was he making jihad against? These people. So I want y'all to think about that. I want you to think about that for a second. Because these people love to claim the Prophet ﷺ. Okay? The Prophet ﷺ, when he was alive, he was fighting the Arabs, correct? Let's say that he was alive today. Those same folks that are enslaving black folk in Libya, you think he's going to run behind them and enslave black folk in Libya? Or would he fight them? Those same folks that are kicking out black folks in at all places on earth, Tunisia, in Africa. You think he's going to be with them kicking out the black folks? You know, we need to protect our Arab identity in Islam? Or would he fight those people? It's the same people that was fighting back in his time. They're the same folks. Don't get it twisted. When these Afrocentrics come with these arguments, because the Afrocentrics, they get their arguments from Orientalists, white Orientalists. For those of y'all, let me just show y'all something. This book here. Can y'all see it? Let me just switch the screen now. 1 second. I'll switch the screen. This book here. You all see it? It's called Defining Legends, right? Analysis of Afrocentric writings against Islam, right? Amazing book. Incredible book. This book, okay, is laying the smack down on these modern Afrocentrists who get their arguments from Islam, ironically enough, from these same white Orientalists whose roots white Orientalism is a direct weapon of white supremacy, mind you. And they just parrot their arguments. And the author, what's his name? I think it's Bilal something. 1 second. Abdul Haq Ashanti. The author Abdul Haq Ashanti is doing like this. Is what this guy said. This is what the Orientalist said. This the Afrocentrist is repeating the same thing. The same thing. The research that is done in this book is incredible. It's incredible. Now, because these arguments, you know, they've been thoroughly refuted in this book, Defining Legends. Okay, thoroughly refuted. Now we have a new generation of Muslims who are very happy to espouse their racist ideology because white supremacists are happy to espouse their racist ideology, right? They're not following Islam now. They're following the white supremacists and calling it Islam. You get me? Because they just don't like you. They just don't like you. There's nothing you can do to please them. Can you imagine you accepted Islam? They call themselves Muslim. They call themselves Muslims. We're supposed to be brothers after that. They would rather seek brotherhood and allegiances to the same white supremacists who destroyed their countries. They would rather look at Muhammad Hijab and Jordan Peterson. That's all I gotta say. That is all I gotta say. They would rather do that stuff. The white supremacist that bombed their country has more value to them than the poor street Negro who's trying to find his way in Islam. You get it? Is it all making sense now? Do not go for the gaslighting. Those old tricks don't work on us over here on the Feachaz. Those old, tired tricks. And those of y'all who used to be Christian, where are the saved Bible thumpers? You know, who used to be saved back in the day? You know, who used to read the Bible, who used to go to church? Y'all remember the story of Jesus? Peace be upon him in the Bible. And Jesus was approached by his own people, the Jews. You see, all the prophets the same thing. All the NBIs the same thing. They fight in their own people first. Sometimes we got to fight our own people first. Jesus no different, alayhi salam. The Jews always tried to trip up Jesus, alayhi salam, in the Bible. Always. If you know the story of Jesus in the Bible, alayhi salam, you know his story is very similar to that of Malcolm X. Very, very, very similar. Right? You have the ruling class, which are the Romans. They're the ruling class. Then you have a subgroup of house Negroes, or, you know, in this case, I mean, you could say the house Negroes. The Jews in those times, they weren't the Ashkenazi. They were like the darkish type Jews. But anyways, I digress. All right, so you had this house Negro class who was in cahoots with the government in order to make sure that the Jews themselves didn't get smart and rise up against the government. This is like your black church types. Okay? The black church, that's why it was set up. Okay? It was set up for that specific purpose, to make sure that these slaves didn't get smart, you know, and just start spilling blood everywhere, like the Muslims were doing. That's why they had to beat the Islam out of you when you were enslaved. They had to beat the Islam out of you because the Muslims, when they were kidnapping Muslims from West Africa and Central Africa, and they were enslaving them in South America and the Caribbean and Florida and whatnot, it was the Muslims who were the first people that would rebel. The first rebellion ever took place in the West from the slave rebellion was called the Muslim Rebellion in Brazil. Look at the Gulas. That's why they didn't want y'all to be Muslim. They let the Indians be Muslim, yes, because the Indians, they weren't fighting the white supremacists. They were in cahoots with the white supremacists. They were doing the bidding of the white supremacists. They were the overseers. The Muslims from India, they were the overseers of the black slaves in the Caribbean and South America. And that's why they were allowed to keep their religion. You were not allowed to do that. You weren't allowed to do that. But I digress. The black church in the time of Malcolm X was much like the scribes and the Pharisees mentioned in the Bible. The same thing. You just think about this scenario now. You have your ruling class, some foreign people somewhere in Europe. Again, always Europe, okay? These Romans, okay, are now in Jerusalem ruling over the Jewish people, and they set up a buffer class from the Jewish people to make sure these same Jewish people don't get smart. Because, mind you, the Jewish numbers, they're large. They're large. Same thing in the States. In the time of Malcolm X. You have the ruling class, white folk, right? And then you have these buffer Negroes, the black church, and their one job is to make sure that the Malcolm X's of the world don't rise up. That's their job. That's why the civil rights movement got taken over. So it moved from an economic and a whatchamacallit, you know, uh, building economics for the black community into we want citizenship. We're second class citizens. We want rights. We want civil rights now. We want the right to vote and stuff like that. You get it? They infiltrated it. They steered the direction of it. And so you are still going through the same thing for the last 60, 70 years, but it's just different names, but it's exactly the same thing. Nothing changes in terms of your job status. Nothing changes in terms of your wealth status. Nothing changes in terms of your education status. Nothing changes in terms of your social status. But they out here pointing the finger at your face, talking about, why can't y'all do anything? I got here last year. Now I got my own business. These foreigners and buffer classes and immigrants and stuff. You get it? Trying to make you look like you lazy and you're crazy. And you're not either. But I digress. That was going on at the time of Jesus. Okay? That was the same thing going on at the time of Jesus. Alayhi salam. Okay? Jesus, alayhi salam, the people absolutely loved him. They loved him. And they couldn't help to love him anyways. Why? He was feeding the poor, according to the Bible, okay? Few broiled fish and honeycomb and whatever and pieces of bread. And he's feeding 5,000 people. 5,000 people with just a few pieces of bread and some fish. Feeding them. Remember the Black Panthers? Who loved the Black Panthers? Black people loved the Black Panthers. Why did black people love the Black Panthers? Because the Black Panthers were the first people in Western history to start breakfast programs for black children so that they can go to school not hungry. And the government saw that as a threat. Just like the government saw Jesus alayhi salam as a threat. Just like the black church saw Malcolm X, rahimahullah, as a threat. Because the people are gravitating towards him. Do you get it? They start seeing the black now look at the black church today as compared to even the 80s and the 90s. Are there any men in the black church today? Do men go to the black church? Yes or no? Do men go to the black church today? Yes or no? No. Men don't go to the black church anymore. The black church today is a bunch of old women and some single mothers. That's all it is. Why? Because the men started listening to folks like Malcolm X, and they started seeing the hustle, like men do. And this was the same thing that was going on at the time of Jesus, alayhi salam. The people were seeing the hustle from the scribes and the Pharisees. They started seeing that these folks were in their way, and all they were doing was the bidding of the ruling class to try to keep them silent and pacified. It is these European Christians that bastardize the message of Jesus, alayhi salam. Because if you're reading the Bible, even just by reading the Bible only, you can see that Jesus, alayhi salam, he was a militant figure. He was somebody that was, riling up the people, the spirit of the people. You get me? Just like the black church used the letter of the Bible to suppress black people, Slaves, love your master. Turn the other cheek. Love your enemy. The same thing that the black church was doing to black people is the same thing the Jews or the scribes and the Pharisees at that time were doing to the lower class Jews at that time. The same thing. They would use the letter of the law in order to keep the people oppressed. So Jesus, alayhi salam, he came with the gospel or the Injil, the good word. He's bringing the spirit of the law to the people now. Why is Allah telling you this stuff? Why is Allah telling you this? Jesus is bringing this message now, and the people are loving him up, and the scribes and the Pharisees are seeing him as a threat. Okay? They're seeing him as a threat. They're seeing him, if the people follow him, we ain't going to have no clout, and we ain't going to be able to control the situation now. But there's no way you're going to control the situation. We got to try to get this man out the way. And that's why they try to kill him. First, they try to discredit him. Every single thing Jesus, peace be upon him, said, they tried to distort it. They tried to twist it. They tried to change the meaning of what he said to make him say like he's saying something completely different. Every single straw man argument and red hair, you just read, like if you read the Bible, look what these people are saying. They're not trying to understand they're not speaking to him with the intention to understanding what he's saying. They're speaking to him with the intention to distort what he's saying and discredit him. That's what is going on. Okay? So Jesus, alayhi salam, where are my Bible thumpers at? My former Bible thumpers. Jesus, alayhi salam, right? He gets into this kerfuffle with these Jews now, right? And these Jews, they're trying to trip him up. And Jesus is telling them, I speak the word of my Father, and for what I heard from my Father. Meaning he's speaking to what he's been revealed to him, right? Remember, in the Jewish language, Father and God are synonymous in their language, right? So when the Jews say Father, they mean God. It's the Europeans that made Father mean something completely different. That's why in Islam we don't have this attribute of Father for Allah at all. Right? But anyways, these Jews now, they're telling Jesus now, Abraham is our father. You get me? It's that lineage stuff, bro. It's that lineage stuff. Jesus is telling them, if you were Abraham's children, he's telling them this now. You would do the works of Abraham, but you seek to kill me. A man who has told you the truth that I heard from God. And Abraham didn't do this. Jesus is telling this. He's buffing them up. You are doing the works that your father did, they said to him, but you were born. This is the Jews now, right? They're trying to get into the birth of Jesus now, right? They're telling you were doing the works of your father, right? But guess what, Jesus? We were not born from sexual immorality. You know what they're trying to tell Jesus now? Alayhi salam? You know what they're trying to tell him? Why are they saying that we were not born from sexual immorality? Who knows? Put it in the chat. And up until this very day, the Jews say the same thing. The same thing. Why are they telling Jesus, alayhi salam, at that time, we were not born of sexual immorality. We have one Father, even God. Why are they telling Jesus this, alayhi salam? Who knows why? Where are my intelligent black folk at? Where are they at? Thank you, Sister Tika. Because of Mary. Because of Mary. She showed up with a child or no husband. They're trying to slight him. You see that? You see that? Did they not try to slight Malcolm X Rahimullah, didn't they try to say that Malcolm X is just a criminal? Didn't they do the same thing? Didn't they do the same thing to Martin Luther King? You were a criminal? And who of all people, Daniel Hikikuchu, remember Daniel Hikikuchu talking about Martin Luther King? He had illicit sexual relationships. Where are the liberals now? This is what they do. This is what these demons do. They are demons. They are demons. They don't want you to arrive at the truth. They want you to arrive to their program, and that's it. So they have a certain way, and you see the patterns. This is why we read the Quran. Allah is revealing this stuff so you can reflect, and then you can see how the game works. Didn't Daniel Hikikuchu do the same thing? Imagine. Nobody asked him. Nobody asked him. But they will try to discredit your heroes while propping up your killers. So that's why they're talking about Jesus. That's why they say we have one Father, even God. And what did Jesus say to them? Right? Remember, Jesus, he was quick with it, even in the Bible, right? Even if you don't believe, right? And of course, we don't believe that the Bible itself is the Word of God. We don't believe that. But some of these stories, bro, right? Jesus, he's telling them, if God were your father, then you would love me. For I came from God, right? Because now he's buffing them up again, right? They try to get into his birth, right? His suspicious birth. He's saying, I came from God and I am here. Okay? And I come not from my own accord, but because he sent me. Who sent him? God sent me. Right? Jesus is telling this. Why don't you understand? Right? I came because God sent me. If you came from your father, you would love me. But you cannot bear my word. Why can't they bear his word? Because his word is putting a ripple effect on the psyche and the mindset of the people, and it's causing these these people who are placed in power by the power class, is causing them to become irrelevant. The people are starting to think for themselves. But Jesus don't stop there. And this is the point I want you to understand. I know this is the Bible. This is the Bible now. All right? But this is the point I want you to understand. Jesus said to them, you are of your father, the devil. And your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning. And he does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. That's these people, bro. That's these people. The quicker you understand that, the quicker you're going to know what you are dealing with. They pretend to be people of God. They pretend to be callers to Allah and callers to Islam. But really, their will is the same will of Iblis. It's the same thing. And when they speak, look how much lies come out of these utopian elites. Lies upon lies upon lies upon lies. Okay? And when he lies, talking about the devil now, when he lies, he speaks out of his own character. For he is a liar and the father of lies. When these people lie, it's not because they slipped up. They lie because that is innately in them to lie. You get it? That's why they can lie about you so much. It just rolls off to the tongue. Like this dude, what's his name? Jake Shields. talking about why is it that black people always protect their criminals? Why is it that you have your criminals on your money? You put your criminals on your currency. And you want to talk about us protecting our criminals? These people got some nerve. And your Youtubian Da'i elites, who side with these white supremacists, out here smiling in your face, yeah, we're brothers, but you know, CRT is irreligious. We say the same thing. I know it's Bible, but you of your father, the devil. He was a liar and a murderer from the beginning. And he lies because it's in his character, not because of any other reason, but it is because it is in his character to lie. That's y'all. That's what y'all be doing. Don't get it twisted. Brother Baji, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Baji.
Wa alaikum salam.
MashaAllah. How you doing, bro?
Doing good, huh?
How
you?
Alhamdulillah. What you got for us, bro?
How you?
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, pretty much what I want to say. Pretty much what I want to say is, you know, these people, man, and I'm talking about, you know, the Muslims. They come over here, and I think a lot of what they do is based on like competition. You know, like they're competing with us for the scraps of the Europeans, and they're trying to draw closer to them. Like it's a contest. That's pretty much what Satan was doing. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
You see how they treat us in their lands, and they come here and do the same thing, and they think that, you know, this is somehow going to bring them, you know, brownie points, you know, for cozying up to the Europeans. And as far as Daniel talking about, or, you know, Dr. King, like, I mean, he should shut up. Because I knew he probably grew up with Europeans his whole life. What about all the sins he done? But he don't want to mention that. So, I mean, he shouldn't have no smoke to even mention Dr. King's name. But again, this is the, you know, the sycophant, the behavior of the sycophants, you know, to draw closer to their, you know, their masters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the really astounding and audacious thing about that whole situation. He's out there talking about Dr. Martin Luther King, right? Daniel did the most twitching and twirling and twerking and tap dancing and booty shaking and butt shaking for Donald Trump. The most. Donald Trump recently lost a bid in a sexual assault case. He has had tens of women accuse him, and on top of that, file litigation against him for sexual assault. Even his own ex-wife publicly accused him of sexual assault. But here come Daniel to talk about some illegitimate affairs that Martin Luther King had, like that is somehow going to erase the fact that Martin Luther King died on his square. And not just died on his square, assassinated on his square.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what they do, man. He don't have no smoke, you know, for his you know, for those he sees as superior to him, his masters. He don't have no smoke. These are the people he want to curry favor with. and a lot of them are like that. But also, I got to speak on a lot of us too, you know. And I never liked this. First became, you know, a Muslim. I started seeing these brothers going overseas. They'll come back and they act like they want to be a. I never liked that. They come speaking English. Now you speaking English different. You like how they speak English, and I never liked that. I had a sheikh. I'm not gonna say his name. For the most part, I liked him. He was in Jamaica. I used to study with him like online, and you know, once I had to argue with him, he was telling me because they had taught him that over in I think he went to Ibn Saud University over there. I believe that was the name of it in Riyadh. He was well, the class that the Arabs were superior because of this and that. So I had to like argue with him. Like that goes against like what Allah say. Allah say the best of you is, you know, those who has the most taqwa. So we like arguing that point. Then he finally, you know, concedes and agrees and says, but if they have the same taqwa, then the Arabs are better. It's like the conditioning. And I seen your I was able to go back and watch a video I think you made yesterday. And I think the brother Abu Bara, he was alluding to that, how they mix like a lot of cultural things, you know, with the religion.
Yeah.
They was taught that. I mean, the brother really believed that. I had to like argue with him, and he's a sheikh, like of great knowledge. You know, but you know, he wasn't right on that point. And
Yeah, of
you know,
course
it
not.
just goes to show me that this sort of warfare, psychological warfare, is being waged on us. Like all these people want to see themselves as better than us. If you ask me, when they start promoting these type of things, the Arabs are basically becoming like the damn Jew with this, you know, we're the chosen people, the superior people. And, you know, there's a hadith where Rasulullah, he mentioned this. Like you will follow the ways of those who came before you so closely that if they went into a lizard, crawled into a lizard hole, you would go in after them. This is that sort of behavior. If you look at it, if you really examine it closely, you know, this is what the Jews, they thought they was the superior people, like we're God's favorite.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. Israel Young Lion, Assalamu alaikum. Unmute yourself, bro. Unmute yourself. You gotta unmute your mic.
Hello, y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, bro. What you got for us?
All right, salam alaikum, brothers. How y'all doing?
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam.
Yeah, man. You know, you guys are bringing out a lot of powerful points. You know what I'm saying? Especially the brother, the Feachaz. You know, this stuff hits hard, especially since, you know, I'm like a new Muslim, so to say. And you know, coming in, one of the things that drew me to Islam was, you know what I'm saying, how despite who you are, you know what I'm saying, you could be a Arab, you know, whatever. The fact that you can serve the Creator regardless, you know, that's what drew me in, you know. And I'm coming in and I'm looking at these guys, you know, like the brother the Feachaz would say, these YouTubian Dawa elites, and they're pushing, like, you know, these alt-right motives and these alt-right agendas. And, you know, at the end of the day, I say to hell with those people, man. You know, because these people, they don't really practice, they don't really care or to practice, you know what I'm saying, what they preach, or let alone serve the Creator. That's not what they're about. They're about money, and they're about they're about money and getting close to their white daddy, their white daddy God. That's their real God. You know,
100%.
their God ain't the God of Abraham.
100%.
So, you know, it's like, I'm sorry if I'm being a little long-winded, but
No, go ahead.
you know, I know, you know, I'm still a little new to Islam, but I do know this, that a part of the reason why I would say they're jealous is because they know that, you know what I'm saying, deep down inside we have that by nature, you know, us black folks have, you know, uh, a spirit that's like, you know, we don't really have any problems with anybody. You know, we're very like, you know,
Accepting.
we're very calm people and accepting. You know, and also to the fact that, you know, I mean, your brothers may not agree with this, but, you know, coming from my background, you know, and studying a little bit, you know, I'd say we are the real children of Israel. That's why they're jealous. They could keep that Jewish stuff, man. They could keep that, all those corrupt system and stuff, you know.
Mm.
They're jealous because, you know, of how we look, and much more than that. And Satan is using these people, you know, to get us, you know, out of our focus, where we're supposed to be focusing on the Most High. Not these people, but, you know, they want to constantly drag us down to their low vibration, you know, and try to, like, you know, get us to be their good token black slave. To hell with that, man. I seen my people go through that enough, man. Enough.
I think the reason why they
Same
hate
thing
us,
in these
I
Arab
think the
countries,
reason why they
right?
hate us is what the brother Bilal said. I think they
Yeah,
all
go
know
ahead, brother.
that
My bad.
I think they know that Adam is the original man and that they came from us, black people. I think that's why they upset.
Yeah,
And the other thing is the other
that
favors that Allah
yeah,
has given to us. If you look at us, we're the ones that
yeah.
have the
A lot of
charisma. They know that a lot of their women like us. Our style, the world imitates us. They're jealous of that. And they fear, as Public Enemy used to say, fear of a black planet. If we don't stop them, then they'll rule the world. Also, the Arabs, the brother mentioned some historical facts with blacks and Arabs. Also, we got to remember the Zanj rebellion. You know, the people they call the Zanji people. This this was the beginning of the end of the Abbasid
Yep.
dynasty when that happened. That was the beginning of the end. So they know. And as the brother said, Africans had ruled them. As a matter of fact, it's a good case, you know, historically, that the Kushites were the first people to go out and, like, you know, sort of settle the world. You know, according to a lot of historians. So, you know, we were in Asia. Even the Indians will tell you this. They'll say the people that came later, it was black people there. Some people from Iran told me that the first, or from that area, told me the first people in what we now call Iran were black people until the Aryans came. You know,
Well,
a lot of
I
Iranians
want,
and Indians claim to be, you know, Aryans, the true
yeah.
Aryans.
I want you all to understand, because I know the brother Israel online. He's a new Muslim, and the fitna for us as black folk is a unique type of fitna, and is related, in my humble opinion, directly to the creation of Adam, when Iblis saw Adam for the first time. Right? Because the way that Iblis looked at Adam is the same thing that other people folk look at black people. It's the same way. We don't have that in us. We don't have that type of, you know, looking at somebody and hating them, right? However, the cure and the remedy for that is actually Islam. It's the remedy for black people, and it's a remedy for any other people who have that disease in them, right? The chosen people of Allah are those people who follow what he has revealed as closely as possible. And it does not make a difference, uh, color or language or gender or anything like that. The Your closeness and your ability to learn and study and implement the Quran and the Sunnah, that is the thing that is going to lead you to success. If you look at the Jahili Arabs, right, the Arabs in Jahiliyyah, do you know there is really not much difference between those people and us? Just look at their history. Look at their history. They were alcoholics. We were alcoholics. They were suffering from mass, whatchamacallit, zina. We are suffering from mass zina. You know, they were the bottom of the social ladder. We are at the bottom of the social ladder. You get me? It's all, there's so many similarities. So many. But the one thing that we as black folk have that is in our way and is preventing us from success, despite all that, is this type of arrogance that we carry, right? We have to actually carry humility and try to get closer to Allah than to be closer to other people folk. Our trying to get to closer to other people folk is what keeps us in this position, because we don't think like people who are free, and we don't think like people who are, have the ability to change society. We think like the defeatist, and in Islam you cannot have a defeatist mentality, right? We need
So that
to, like,
sounds like more than just arrogance. That sounds like ignorance too on our parts.
yeah,
We're ignorant.
well, we are ignorant people. That it goes that goes beyond saying. Like, we don't have to even debate that. We are actually an ignorant people, right?
We
And
was
the
like that in Christianity. We trust
yeah,
these people, but they
yeah,
use religion and other things to gain power. They
yeah.
have an agenda.
And Arabs themselves, were they not ignorant? Were they not ignorant?
Yeah, very ignorant.
They were very ignorant, right?
These people
But what was the
kill their
thing that?
own children
Yeah,
like
and
we do.
what was the thing that brought them out of that ignorance? It was Islam, right? And so Allah, He's repeating all these things. He's repeating the story of Pharaoh. He's repeating the story of Ad and Thamud. He's repeating the story of Yusuf. He's repeating all these stories. The story of Adam and Iblis. Why is He telling these stories? Because these things, if you look at time itself is linear. It goes in a straight line, and once time goes, it never comes back. But history is cyclical. It keeps coming over and over and over and over and over again, right?
MashaAllah, that's a good point. How you correlating it back to that? Because
Yeah.
you're right. Until the Arabs actually embraced Islam wholeheartedly, their situation didn't change.
It
But when
changed.
they became sincere, yeah, that's when we see the great deeds
Yes.
that the Sahaba, right, radiallahu anhum, how they were, how they was able to, affect things
Yeah.
and bring significant change. And that's
Yeah.
a great point the brother CL Edwards made too, and
Mhm.
text that he just text. But the other thing I want to say, you said that some of them come over and say, I did this. How come you haven't done this? You
Yeah.
blacks and you come over here. What I would say to especially our Arab brothers, they need to shut up because they have whole countries and we have Palestinians that's been getting their ass kicked, excuse my language, by Jews and
Mm,
torture. You have whole countries, whole armies, and you haven't done anything
mm,
to even try to help them significantly, except for begging white folks in America, please please implement the two-state solution. Do something. And you still
mm,
see they haven't done anything.
mm,
Allah's giving you more might and more independence than us. You have your
mm.
own countries, and you won't do
But
anything.
even still, if you look at that situation with the Arabs, the solution is actually still the same. But they haven't accepted that solution. What they've accepted is Arab nationalism, and that's why Saudi right now, they've made a pivot from being a religious state into Saudi national ethno state. A hard pivot, right? So, but anyways, brothers and sisters, I'd like to thank Brother Baji and Brother Israel, the Young Lion, for coming on. I have to go. I have a doctor's appointment. I'd like to thank everybody for joining. Just don't forget that.
Thank you for having us, man.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And don't forget that we are no longer monetized by YouTube, right? So it's up for the people to share, like, subscribe, right? And as well as YouTube is actually just for your information, they're making moves to push small channels like this completely out of YouTube, right? And I'll probably explain that later, right? So it's up for the people now to support channels just like this, because you're not going to get support from the corporate, social media spaces at all, right? They're becoming mouthpieces for those who have financial capital, instead of grassroots channels such as this, right? So it's imperative that you support the channel, at least bare minimum, by liking, subscribing, and sharing. All right. So jazakumullah khair. سبحانك وبحمدك وأشهد أن
وإياكم.
بارك الله فيك. سبحانك وبحمدك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وأستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.